IVM.
Adulthood is tough, but managing your credit card bills is even tougher.
And to make life easier, I would just say download Cred and just participate in the Power Play contest Cred is running right now. You can pay your credit card bills in the Power Play overs during IPL and you can win 100% cash back and more. Honestly, guys, I've been waking up and just scrolling on Cred and seeing what discounts I can get and what I can buy and where I can travel on Cred deals. Honestly, get on it. Action. Lights, camera, action. My hair
This
is not
episode is
working.
about action. This is
Ayushi,
about action.
I need to take action against my hair follicles. They are not keeping up with my Kardashian vibe today.
You know that no one can see you, right? This is a podcast.
Oh my God, oopsie, forgot. You see, I'm so obsessed with myself as a performer, as a celebrity, as an actor in the public eye.
Please stop.
I'm my
please.
own muse.
So many plugs. Okay, first of all, there's some jokes. We've put some breadcrumbs, the Hansel and Gretel portion of the episode. We've given you some cool keywords: action, muse, and then they'll come together later in this episode.
Okay. Baki bataiye, wo chodo Ayushi. Just leave it. How are you, babes?
I just finished a workout, which is possibly the height of the endorphins that are going to be running through my body for the foreseeable future.
Because we are in lockdown, we know this already.
Still.
And when one is in lockdown, many things are
Still.
locked, including your
Belt.
lady parts. Belt.
Do you remember Robin Hood Men in Tights? Like the female leash was wearing a chastity belt. And basically the whole thing was that Robin Hood would have the key. But all the way in the end, like during the credits, like all you can hear is them trying to get it on. And the key that he has doesn't fit her lock. So the movie ends actually with people shouting through like the land, like Nottingham Forest, call a locksmith.
I love it. I've not watched, but that sounds like, yeah.
Oh my God, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Another plug of a movie you should watch. Last time we talked about Priyadarshan movies. I think this time we watch Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's got Dave Chappelle in it as well. It's just a masterpiece.
Okay. I'm sold already. Love me a good Dave.
Anyway, as much as we do have like a really exciting segment for this episode, why don't we introduce it, Tash? This is something that's very near and dear to you and your paths.
ऐसे बोलते as if I am only the one enjoying this sphere of life, na guys?
Yes.
Okay. No. We will again rewind and talk about it. But listeners, welcome to our sexual wellness episode. I say it in my sexy voice because here we would like to offer you a chance for some sexual healing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not as seduced as I thought I would be.
Because I am not therapeutic or sexy, as we have learned from all the fan mail we receive. Everyone's like, Aishi, your voice is so nice. And I understand it's because I talk like this. If I also just spoke like Ayushi more often, being like, guys, I'm here and I'm intellectual and I've done research and I have a job, then maybe y'all would think I'm
By the way, all
too.
three of those things are positives. I take them straight up as compliments.
They are. I would never say anything bad to hurt you, baby. You know that.
She's just Pagro because two people said that they find my voice therapeutic. And you don't understand, this was such a take that moment for me because I was able to show all my friends who constantly tell me to
shut the
that I, in fact, am giving therapy to people.
While receiving it from me weekly. So excuse me, everyone who finds her voice therapeutic. It's only because I'm in her life.
Yes, it's because Ritasha is my secondhand therapy, as you know. I'm too damaged and also too cheap to pay for therapy myself. So whatever Ritasha learns that week from a therapist.
Because she is shopping instead. Retail therapy. Yeah.
Okay. But let's talk about sexual wellness. Let's talk about sexual health. We've covered some basic stuff, I think, consistently throughout our episodes in terms of consent, about like respect, about having conversations with your partner. So I don't want to keep harping on that. But of course, the top and the bottom of this episode will still always be consent is key. It's the first step. But other than that, there's so much more to sexual wellness. and health and communication. And Dash, what do you feel about that?
Okay, so sexual wellness. Now, I would just want to remove just the purely sexual part of it, of the act of intercourse. We can remove it because I know everybody thinks about sexual ye kuch bhi, and then our mind is jumping straight to action. The act of it. Let me speak like this. So here, I want to say that sexual wellness extends to everything. How one I feel feels about their own sexuality. And I think that's a very important place we can start. Because before we even reach the point of consent and sharing the experience or sex experience with someone else. See what I did there? She is not
So
having
bad.
any of these
So bad.
jokes.
So
She's
bad.
like, so I think to really explore one's own body, feelings about one's body, sensuality, that is, I think, such a complementary word with sexuality, to really
Okay.
explore it in all of its things. So I was thinking recently, a friend reminded me of an episode of Girls where Lena Dunham says you should sun your vagina daily to look young for longer. And I'm like, that's an element of sexual wellness too.
But is it?
Come on. The yoni is a place of power, Ayushi. Everybody in the West is talking about it.
No, look, I definitely think that your sexuality is a source of your power. Like, a lot of people derive confidence and power and a sense of self from their sexuality. I'm not denying that. However, I do not think that I would ever advocate anyone to sun any of their body parts on a daily basis. Like, just, V up.
It's a great visual, though. Ayushi in her balcony every day. Listen.
Are you insane? I live in a very residential area.
The birds that come out.
This isn't some lawless Brooklyn where I can just like open my window and sun it. But okay, I see what you were saying, that it requires its own attention and care and nurturing.
Yeah. Nurturing is good. So it's like, I think we even spoke about this the last time we did a sexual wellness episode, which was a long time ago.
Yes.
So to get to know the plumbing and the mechanics of your home. You can't live there without knowing the ins and outs of it.
And this isn't just for like women. This is for anyone on the spectrum, whatever
everyone, whatever you identify as.
Yes, identifying sexuality is. Getting in touch with it is important. And not just from a pleasure perspective, also from how do you take care of... I mean, I don't want to make this about hygiene, but look, hygiene is key too. Wash yourself.
Hey, clean. We love a clean peen. I'm just putting it out there.
Yes.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
We've been thinking of things to give us merch. Let's do that. Love a clean peen.
Yep.
I was supposed to keep this PG. That's not working out for me.
Okay. So you know what? Everybody listening to this and judging us, don't.
Okay, that ended it right there.
Sex is the most normal thing. It's the most natural thing. And honestly, I'm a bit tired of like every time we have to do a little bit of a dance around, a tiptoe around, a walk on eggshells around the topic. How are we all in this world? I think somebody had sex.
Also, this country, it speaks for itself.
100%. And it's nice though. I think young people are becoming a little more okay to talk about it. I feel like even in our friend group, now more than opposed to like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I think now our girl group is far more open to talk about sexuality and sexual wellness. And
we ask a lot of intimate questions very quickly and openly, and without even sort of constantly having to say it. You know that certain areas are now a safe space that weren't earlier a safe space. I feel like you were shy, you felt a bit nervous about asking about it. And there was a lot of stigma as well about having multiple sexual partners, or about even having casual sexual encounters, to just explore, even self-exploration of, pleasure and all of that fun stuff. That itself was a conversation that I wouldn't say taboo, but you felt a level of shyness or perhaps even shame around it, because you were like, I don't know, am I supposed to be talking about this? Is this okay?
And I've found that it's very, it honestly depends on the friend you're speaking to.
Yeah.
It really is like somebody who's my closest friend, but every time I like mention, not Ayushi, listeners, Ayushi is very much open and loves to chat about my sex life. But one of my other close friends, like if I can see the discomfort on her face when I talk about it. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is safe for me to talk to another friend about it. She's not interested. But
which is fine. I
which is
mean,
fine.
I think even in a conversation, there needs to be consent sometimes. Not sometimes, always.
Always.
Yeah, I guess that's something that we overlook quite often. But I do think that young adults now, and I hope everyone listening does have a safe space within whether it's within your family or within your social circle. I think it's important to have a safe space where you can talk about these things, because we said it in a different episode. We said that men don't talk about, or at least the straight men that we know, don't talk about sex and sexual experiences as much as women do with their
their friends. No, yeah.
And I think there's a lot that we learn from each other about safety, as well as, just enjoyment from our co-girl friend group. And I think men, again, are so shy and suppressed at talking about those things, that unless you're talking about it in a more conquestial kind of way, you don't get to explore your insecurities or what you're nervous about or what you're scared about or what you don't know. And guys, talk to each other. It's so really good. And it's so much fun.
I've just realized two very, very, very important things in life, which nobody tells you as a kid and nobody wants to discuss when they're grown-ups also, really in detail, is money and sex.
Yeah.
And it's f***ed up because both things are damn important for a healthy life. Am I shouting? Did you
No, I flinched because you said the F word.
Oh, now so they just beep it out as if I care.
When I was on Cyrus's show, halfway through the show, I started saying it, and he was like, "Oh, so now you're feeling brave to say it." I was like, "Yeah, because I got riled up over something," and I was like, "This." But yeah, what you're right. Money.
I don't have any follow-up. I just think that these are two important pillars on which adult life stands.
And in our finance episode this season as well, Gaurang, the one thing that he said was the first thing you should do about when thinking about money is talk about your finances, right? The minute you open the conversation, so many things start falling into place because either you learn or you're able to impart or you're able to correct yourself. But I think when it comes to sexual wellness and health, it's the same principle as that talk about it. And and in general, our country is so freaking repressed. We need to talk about wellness and the enjoyment, and also I think the pleasure angle of it needs to be discussed and enjoyed as well.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And honestly, just to jump in with my own 2 bits as usual, but I've found a change in myself also. So I was very sex positive and I still am. But there is a degree of shame that I'm trying to fight against and work through being sex positive as a single girl. Because when you're in a committed relationship or, I've been together with someone for 3-4 years, we live together. I love sex. I love orgasms, being all out and proud about it. But as I became a single now in my life, a part of me has been do I mute this sex positive side of me because I'm not in a committed relationship?
Because the idea is that a woman who is very openly sex positive and single, those two
must
things
be a slut.
Yeah, because when you put those two things together, it immediately is a negative. It's like she's had too many sexual partners, or she's too
none of which is true, by the way, guys. I'm also just exploring still. Ayushi knows the truth.
Oh, I need to stop crowdsourcing partners on this show. I really have to stop. It's becoming a little bit desperate. But you're right. There's a lot to unpack there as well. Also, I think couples who are okay to talk about their sexual experiences with other people, it's so admirable, A. But B...
Chef's kiss.
Yes. But B... it's not something that people do in their social and friend circles.
Yeah.
I'm not
should
saying
be
that you
normal.
have to. No, I'm not saying that you have to. I also don't want to go to drinks and hear all my coupled up partners talking about their sex life. That's too much for me. I'm just saying on a personal note, if anyone's listening, it's too much for me. I don't want to know.
But it should be normal.
But know that you can speak about it. I will not judge you.
Yeah. In
I
fact,
will walk
I'm
away.
cheering for you. I'm very happy for you.
I am not there yet. I am not so self-secure that I'm happy for your sex life yet. Like there's few people whose sex life, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's good. It's good. I'm happy to hear it. It's fine. It's good. You can hear the bitterness in my voice. I don't mean for that to come across.
Ayushi is not salty at all. Okay, deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. Sexual wellness. Okay, bringing it back to the topic.
So hard.
Okay.
No, but
important for health. Overall, well-being. It's a big part of our health profile. Now, I feel like I'm just
also, I
moving
think
in
now
circles.
we can let's get to the fun part of this episode.
Let us. Yeah, we have quacked enough.
True. I guess just to sum up everything that we said, talk about it with the people that you feel are safe and trustworthy in your life. Explore yourself. It's important that you get to know how your body works, what you like, what you don't like, and definitely try to have an open conversation with whoever your partner is. Because I can assure you that your partner has the same amount of reservations and confidence issues and insecurities as you do. Perhaps they're different, but they still have them. And the only way you can maybe come together is by having that conversation.
Yeah.
And now,
let's slip into a break, because when we come back on the other side, we have a very, very exciting segment for you with with
a couple that communicates. Let's put it that way.
With a couple that communicates. Let's see you on the other side.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, Siet Tires and thewholetruthfoods.com. So this week on Advertising is Dead, Varun was joined by Mansi Zaveri. She shares her experience of running a community for parents of young kids and teenagers and of hosting a podcast along the same lines. Gauri Devidayal was joined by Divya Thani on This Round Is On Me. Divya works as a global editorial director with Condé Nast Traveler. They discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of a travel writer's job. On Candid Kanan, Sid is in conversation with Adarsh Gaurav, who recently scored a BAFTA nomination for his role in the Netflix adaptation of The White Tiger. They talk about his role in the show, life pre- and post-stardom, and so much more. On Nagla Station Adulthood, Ritash and Ayushi talk about the precious time and opportunities lost to the lockdown and share their post-COVID wish list. When it comes to cricket this season, we have you covered. In English, we have Edges and Sledges, which do their show live on YouTube. They look for announcements over there. And for our Hindi listeners, we have Khel Neeti, hosted by Rajiv Mishra and ex-Indian cricketer Sabah Kareem. This show is live streamed on YouTube every day at 9:15. Definitely do check these out, and let's get you back to your show.
Hello.
Welcome back. And let's just kick it right. Let's just start.
Let's just kick it right in the... We have with us today Anushka Gupta and Sahil Gupta. They are a beautiful young couple based in Mumbai City. Hi guys, welcome.
And they're the co-founders of the cool startup My Muse.
But
What's
वही
up,
बताएंगे.
Yes.
What's up? You say now, what's up?
Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much for having us on the show.
As you can see, there's literally...
it's our pleasure.
Ours too.
Okay, you guys quickly want to give us what's happening? What is My Muse? How did it come about?
Yes.
Sure, Nush, you want to do that?
For sure. So, sure, I'll jump in. So, I'm Anushka, and about a year ago, I started working on this new brand called My Muse with my husband, Sahil Gupta. So we're partners, obviously, in more ways than one, which we will tell you more about later, but have its pros and cons for sure. But we started My Muse basically to essentially just change the way we look at intimacy and intimate products, and to just create a better alternative for things that we use on our body and things that we use in the bedroom, and make these products feel accessible, feel thoughtful, feel just really, really well made and personal. And we did this just purely because we just felt that there wasn't stuff that we liked to use out there. And there weren't great alternatives. And when we looked around, we're like, why not?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
I think in general also, we were just, as a young couple in India, we were fortunate to be able to travel and go outside and see that there were, all of these wonderful alternatives. And I think originally the idea of sexual health and mental health, Nush and I always used to chat about and say that, look, that's a big area that isn't explored here. That's a huge topic that we would love to chat more about, not just with our friends, but with our families too. But that wasn't happening. So, I guess we just decided that let's do something about it. And this is what came out of that.
That's so true what you said, because sexual health and mental health, I feel the correlation is extremely high, but we don't give that any attention in this day-to-day life.
And we've only just started talking about mental health.
Yeah. So,
Abhi, now sexual sexual health is, I don't want to say dur ki baat, but that's definitely something that is, again, a very new thing for people in India. And I would say even in what we would consider progressive social circles in Bombay. It's still...
No, definitely.
Not
talk about that, you guys. Yeah.
I think for
what was
sure,
it like when you announced this to your friends and family and you guys became this couple that
definitely.
talks about this? Guys, we are into this.
Oh my God. Dude, to be really honest, I never imagined that I would be running a sex business. Let's just be real. That wasn't something I grew up being like, this is my lifelong dream. I wasn't starting, thinking about this when I was in my teens, imagining what my career path would be. But to be really honest, Sahil has really, really helped me in this process. I think he was so clear that this is something he wants to do. And he was just very, very sort of focused and just being look, this is an area of life that's super normal, that's super important, and no one's talking about it. And when we started working on this, it was a huge, huge journey, I think, for both of us. But I think definitely for me, it was a lot more of conflict and internal sort of struggle. How do I equate this with other areas of my life? How am I going to go to a dinner party and chat about this to buas and pupas and chachas and and it was a lot easier, with friends. And I think all of our friends, they love to rip on it and they love to make jokes you guys are sex kings and queens. And we're just great. But, on a family level, I think the minute, I talked about it with my parents and they were on board,
but
which
that's
was
amazing.
Shocking. I think my brother took longer. Yeah, my brother, who I thought would be all for it, he took a lot longer to get around it in his head. And my mom, who I thought would be freaking out, was just oh, so you're doing this to educate people? Okay, so you're doing this to, help people? And I was yeah. She's okay, great. And the minute that happened, I just felt that's it. If my parents are cool with this, then I literally have nothing holding me back. There's no reason not to own this. And it's definitely a process. It's definitely, and I think you said earlier, having those spaces and knowing, who you feel comfortable as well talking about it is really important. I may self-censor in certain situations. I don't necessarily want to chat about it in great detail to my grandmom, just because I know she may not be as pumped about it. But at the same time, it's just knowing how and when and where you feel comfortable and trying to be sort of embracing that change.
I think it's super interesting because each person has such an independent and individual journey about this, just because their situation is so unique and so different. I think for me personally, it definitely took a little while longer to understand the hesitations and, I was always of the opinion that let's do first and apologize later. But I think putting yourself in the context and understanding that sex permeates every part of life. It's not just, it's about your mental, about your physical, about your emotional, about your spiritual. And especially in India, it's connected so much to all those aspects of life that you can't just have the, break stuff and push ahead attitude. So for me, I think also that comes with that little bit of, it was a bit scary when I came and told my parents that this is what I'm doing, but it was also guys, you need to accept that this is what I'm doing because this is something I genuinely care about. And, we personally felt that a lot of issues were related to sexual repression. We really wanted to be an agent of change in that. And just like Nush, I feel my parents' reaction was just so wildly normal. They were just like, oh, it's a gold mine. Like I think that's what my dad said, right?
Amazing.
And I was shocked. And, I feel like at that point, I felt like I didn't give them enough credit to actually be able to be the agent of conversation in our relationship as well.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm shook, guys. Honestly, it's the most amazing thing to have parents who are supportive.
And I think for like Indian kids, the first thing that we always think of is more like, look, if my parents are okay with it, I don't
care what
about
the world
anything
says.
else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because that's
Exactly.
the first.
That's like the ultimate realm of like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so important. Like for us, no matter what you're doing, the first thing you want to do, no matter how independent, no matter how progressive, woke, well-traveled, well-educated you are, the first thing you do is like, but I just need to run it by my parents once.
For sure.
Although, I mean, my brain does wonder that if you guys were not married and trying to do this together, would people look at it differently?
Oh, for sure. Like,
because it's like,
doubt.
this is
Definitely.
sanskari. You are
Yeah.
married. Of course, you're
100%.
allowed to have sex
Oh
and
my
talk
God.
about it. Yeah.
Literally, like, I say this to Sahil all the time. Like, there's no way I would have been able to do this in the same way were we not married. Like, we started this business in lockdown last year. Like, literally, actually, we started working on it before our court marriage. And then we got married, started living together and working on this full time. But it was just hilarious because, like, we were like, married, seeing our parents and like chatting to them about like our new business, about like vibrators, about like this and that. And I was like in my head constantly having these moments like, this is wild. Like I would never, like until that moment, I think that I brought this up with my parents. I don't think we ever acknowledged the fact that I had an active sex life. Like till that point.
Did you guys receive a
not a
sex
thing.
talk from your parents growing up?
I don't think
No.
so. I don't think so.
I don't think our parents are as progressive as you think they are,
Yeah, I
Like,
They
mean,
were
at
just
least-
okay with the business idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they've
think
been chill, but they're not that.
Listen, Indian parents, they might not understand sex, but they understand business.
That's for sure.
Listen,
good.
That's for sure.
Absolutely.
first.
Absolutely.
I definitely didn't have a sex talk, but I think it was just like there was an acknowledgement that I was dating, and that was good enough for me.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've been always open with my parents about like relationships growing up. And my mom's like one-liner to me before I'd like go on trips or before I'd go to college would be like, Anushka, just conduct yourself with dignity. And I would just know exactly what she's saying
What
with
that
that
meant.
one word. It was just like everything. And we would just look at each other and we just like, yes, mom, like, don't worry. Like, I'm not having an orgy. Like, please relax. But yeah, it's definitely a advantage. Obviously, I think being married, it's quite sad because obviously premarital sex is still not a thing that
What
people
I
are as
didn't really
comfortable.
understand, what I didn't understand was like the instant switch of the flip of the switch. I always felt that it would be more gradual. That okay, you got married, and then over the years, once people started recognizing that you're married or whatever in their minds made them switch their viewpoint, then it would happen where we could finally talk about it. But it's almost like the day you get married, the day after, everything's fair game. Everything's on the table and you can literally talk about.
Literally like every Hindi movie where it's all about the Suhagrat and you're a whole new person after that.
Yeah.
How many the whole community or a whole wedding or a whole family gets involved in that? It's like everyone's standing outside your door like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then and there's so many memes about that, right? Like, and to connect it with this, it's more that on one hand, you pressurize children into be like, oh, you haven't found a partner. You don't know how to communicate effectively with the opposite sex or whoever it is that you're interested in. But I'm assuming in the Indian paradigm, it's more just straight relationships that they're referring to. And, parents kind of get on their children's back about not being able to navigate this. And then at the same time, you're like, but you've never allowed me to do it. You've never supported going out there and exploring and experimenting and enjoying yourself in a more casual way. And then the second you get married, it's like you're supposed to know how to govern yourself in this relationship. Absolutely, like from the second that it starts. And then a lot of
there'll be
families,
people pushing you, being like, have a baby.
Have a
like
kid,
the minute
exactly.
you're married. And it's like, wait, what? Like 2 days ago you didn't talk to me about like anything related to sex.
I had
And
to
now
ask
it's
you
like,
permission to go
Yeah.
out. And now
yeah.
it's like, it's also like, haven't you noticed it amongst our own friends? And just like a heads up, we all have a lot of mutual friends. We kind of run in
Yes.
similar circles. A lot of our friends had so many hang-ups about going on trips or spending nights together or
Mhm.
cohabitating before they got married. And then even though they were dating for so long, and then the second they got even engaged,
It was
people
all
were
fair
suddenly
game.
okay with everything.
Yeah.
And like you said,
No, for
everything
sure.
was fair game. Everything was on the
Yeah.
table. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. You're engaged now. As if
Yeah.
that ring makes
It okay,
everything fine till that point. But what upsets me is that it almost, because the reverse of that means that without the ring, certain things are absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. So I have a question. How did you guys, like, I'm sure before you start a business, just to talk about that angle of it, it's a startup for
Mhm.
what it's worth. You would call this a startup, right? And
For sure.
you'd have to do some research. So how do you research this? Like, what is your data point? How do you collect information? How do you ask people hi?
हमारी public sex के बारे में क्या सोच रही है? ये आपने कैसे पता लगाया?
क्या बोलती public? Like, just tell us that.
For
Yeah.
sure. Sal, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I think this one was actually a real big task point for us. I think we really wanted to make sure we were getting our voice and what we were building right, and make sure that we weren't just doing it in a vacuum. So we actually, the whole idea has been supported by speaking to as many people as we could possibly get to talk to us about this subject. Now, I will say that, so for example, we've done quantitative surveys, we've done qualitative surveys, and we've also run like a pretty good beta testing program for our products. But the one thing I'll say is that there are certain ways that you can be smart about using what you've got as well. So, for example, in one of our quantitative surveys, we titled the survey, "Let's Talk About Sex India." And, hopefully that got more clickbaity, and that allowed people to really get into it. And we got 15,000 responses on that survey in like
amazing.
3 days. Yeah,
because we love sex as a country.
I replied to one of that. I felt it that story as well.
People love talking about it, and they love hearing about it, as long as it's, like you said, through a screen or...
Yeah, I think the fact that it was through the screen really helped people really open up. And, we were getting, we had certain questions where it was like, tell us anything else you'd like to tell us. And there were people writing essays, and it was really eye-opening. So, but we wanted to get just beyond the numbers. We didn't want to just be like, hey, 20% of people say this and 50% of people say that. We really felt that in order to understand how to build products and understand what it means to be part of an intimate experience here, we needed to really talk to people and how they associated with sex in all aspects of their life. So what we did was we ran these, 3-hour-long qualitative interviews with people. We had a group of 12 people that we interviewed, and it was just like, tell us about your life, tell us about your childhood, tell us about growing up, and then really bringing in this idea of sex and how does that permeate through, and how do you relate to that? So yeah, there were some really interesting learnings from those. I think we can delve into those a little bit if you want. But
yes,
we'd love to know.
What's something that shocked you? Like, what was something that you were surprised by? That was, oh my god, I didn't realize that.
So I think there was a ton of stuff. I just want to say, like, we asked people about like the first time they masturbated, or like how they learned about sex and stuff like that. And I think one of the things that was partially surprising, maybe not that much, but still quite, shocking to hear in, real time, was that for so many women, they just like, they didn't really explore that. And either they were like not open about talking about it as much, but a lot of women, like there was one quote from one of our studies where she was like, I didn't know masturbation was possible for a female. And for so many women, they actually learned to sort of explore this area of their life through their relationships, where they suddenly felt more comfortable kind of exploring their bodies. So, I mean, I
have friends like that also. Like recently I've spoken to some women and I'm like, what?
Yeah. I think
there were a ton of really surprising things. I think one thing that was really surprising for me is that we tried to have the female male groups, and we had a separate. We didn't get enough time to include every gender, but we had a male group that was discussing specifically about the idea of a massager. And when we spoke to the males, 4 out of 5 of them said that they would want to buy this as a gift for their partner. And that personally really shocked me, because I would love to give that to Anushka. Like, honestly, I would love to do that, but I just didn't know that everyone was there yet, because it's exactly what you were saying earlier, guys, that men just don't take as much time to talk to their friends about stuff that's not like locker room talk, where it's not like, oh, I'm bragging and to know that other men would want to, like make sure that their partner's experience is as good as theirs. I think that personally was really nice, pleasantly shocking for me.
I think men need a safe space to talk about being good lovers. Yeah.
Definitely.
I just like from what Sahil said, it's so nice to know that. Like, it genuinely makes me happy to know that men care about it that much, because the idea and the perception is always that a man would rather be known as more of like, oh, he's had a lot of sex, as opposed to him being good at sex for the partner. Like, it's more about like, oh, I'm good at it because I think I'm good at it, as opposed to,
what is your success rate, buddy?
What's your rating?
Made come for real from
but
inside.
The success rate is so different I think for men and women, because
change the numbers game to how many girls you to how many girls you probably like given pleasure to.
Exactly. And I think women, when we talk about guys that, maybe in a group, if there's 2 or 3 women who have maybe been with the same person, the first thing you do is you compare. And listen, men who are listening, and we know we have a lot of male listeners, girls talk.
Oh yeah, we talk about everything.
About everything. So, like, put in the work.
For sure. New complimentary extension app idea I just had, like create a rating system, like leave a 5-star, 4-star, 1-star rating. I think it would be a great future.
If men got ratings, their whole sex game would be far more different.
Y'all would need to do some homework, man.
For sure. No, that was a pretty huge.
No, that I think is actually, that's quite a, weirdly enough, it's a heartwarming
it is.
result.
I also want somebody to buy me a really nice vibrator.
We'll do that for you. You don't need boys.
Just look at me
got you.
They're so
usually my
expensive
job.
though. Yeah,
we got you.
Thanks. I want the one which has like clitoral stimulation as well as penetration. Look at me saying these words. She's just face farming.
You are referring to the rabbit variety.
I would like the rabbit, yeah.
The rabbit variety. No, it's interesting actually, when you think about the entire realm of like sex toys as well, or, products for the bedroom. I think there's such a, for people who it's the first time, there can be so much hesitation or like confusion, like where do you even begin with this?
Right.
Versus like when you start actually exploring. And I think there's just such a world out there that like we're not even scratching the surface of. Like, we spoke to someone in one of our interviews who told us about her experiences in Japan, which is obviously like the mecca for, sex toys and sex products. And
I just love that
like
sentence, by the way. No. Yeah. I want to go back to that sentence. The mecca of sex toys.
But straight up, literally, like I want to go to Japan just to experience this. But she was talking about how like there's these department stores which are like all around. They're not just relegated to like certain areas and stuff. They're just these like general department stores that sell like a variety of products. And they all have like these multi-level things, like for all home products, different products. And then they have one section on each floor, which is like curtained off, which is just ubiquitously known as like the section to go to like find products for, for the bedroom and stuff like that. And she was saying how like they've organized it such that like on the various levels, they increase in intensity / like type. So like literally like level 1 would be like your level 1. Yeah, like more vanilla, like entry level, basic sort of situation. And level 10. Yeah, and she was saying women aren't actually allowed past level 7 or something like that. Now I need to verify all this, but there was something of this sort, which I was just shocked by. So quite a
How
situation.
interesting.
There's a lot of cultures that are so sex positive, right? Like, I mean, the entire concept of sex work in the Netherlands, like the fact that it's legal, even in Germany,
For
the
sure.
fact that they've been able to legalize or some way formalize prostitution. And look, that's a
For
whole
sure.
other conversation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pros and cons to that.
For
But
sure.
those are societies where you have the conversation around it, and it comes back to what you were saying, that you're then not repressed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
feel you don't feel unsafe as a woman or a man when it comes
Yeah.
to having that conversation, even in your bedroom with your partner,
For
because
sure.
you're like, this is okay. This is a societally acceptable thing to talk
yeah.
about, which
And
is
I
something
think-
that's lacking here.
I think that's why it was so important for us to really deep dive and do the right research, because
Yeah.
I think, trying to bring something here or trying to sell something or just have conversations that people aren't ready for would actually feel a little bit more offensive than
Yeah.
anything else. It would be misrepresenting sort of the way society is right now or ready to be right now. So I think even when you think about, once we went through our rounds of research and we really sat down and thought hard about what are the slew of products that we want to try to bring here. Is it, are we thinking more about the consumer who has gone and explored and really allowed, their sexual self to develop? Or are we thinking more about someone who is a little bit more new, a little bit more, trying to explore and which type of, like, how do we define that target market? Like, who are we actually building for? And I think what we would say we came out on was this idea that we're not trying to be a sex toy company. That's not
Yeah.
our identity. That's definitely not, we just don't feel we're ready for that yet. Maybe
Yeah.
in 10 years, if the
Or
narrative
India is
changes,
necessarily ready.
then sure, that's okay. But for right now, I think what we just want to do is enable the idea of intimacy. And
Yeah.
I think really what we want to try to do is just have products that don't necessarily mean just action. Products that allow your space to be uplifted and allow you to be intimate with whoever you choose to be, whether that's yourself, whether that's a partner, whether that's multiple people. It's not on us to decide or choose or, mandate that. I think for us, it's more that, look, here's some non-offensive, what we would like to call just high quality products that should uplift your bedroom space without you feeling intimidated because there's already enough of that, without you feeling shameful because there's already enough of that, just what I would say more entry level. We're definitely on, the first floor of that Japanese superstore.
But I love that you talk about intimacy, because that is often forgotten in the race for pleasure and just that kind of
100%.
pleasure. But I think also women, I don't know if I'm generalizing here, but there's so much more to the experience of sex.
No, I don't think you're
It's-
generalizing. I think that's
Yeah.
very true. Men and women
crave
approach
intimacy.
Yeah,
for sure.
both the genders approach sex by and large very, very differently.
Yeah.
No, 100%. We actually recently wrote about that, where we talked about does the orgasm even really matter? And the fact that there's just so much stress around that subject sometimes. Did you come? How was it for you? And especially for women, a lot of the time, especially heterosexual women, they aren't having orgasms
They don't
in
finish,
penetrative
yeah.
sex. They don't.
Yeah.
And it's actually okay. And the idea is that intimacy, pleasure, it's about so much more than this end goal, right?
Yeah.
And it's about the entire process. How are you feeling through it?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about yourself through it, your partner? How are you connecting on what level, So
How you feel about yourself through it, that's
A
nice.
big one
That's so
also,
big
yeah.
as well. I think we
Because
forget
that will feed and bleed into a lot of how the experience is for you entirely.
100%. No, that's why even mood and environment, all of that is so important. When we categorize our products, in fact, we don't like to use sexual terminology or the act because we just think, like we said, it's a lot more than that. So we have mood, play, and give as sort of different like sections or experiences that you can have. And
Right.
mood is sort of just everything that comes into, how you feel about yourself, your space, self-care, all of that fun stuff. And then play is the actual act of it, and give is like an opportunity to kind of share that with someone. And yeah, there's just a lot, I think, in this area that we could go on about. It's super interesting.
No, it is interesting, and it's also I do think that the way that you're approaching it in terms of it's not for us to say what you will do with it or what your level of proficiency, let's put it that way, is with these acts. I think it's more like get involved somehow.
Exactly.
Just get involved.
Exactly.
But also, and I'm telling you, I do think that a lot of our population is ready for it just from the content that people are watching and enjoying. For example, Bridgerton.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but mainly because I just cannot watch any more Shondaland TVs. Like I'm done. I can't. Sorry. But the amount of our own friends that have seen it, bookmarked certain episodes, have shared that, ladies, you need to check out this episode. You need to look at this one. You need to focus on this. And it's like, look, these are all girls in our group of friends that have spoken about it and they've talked about it. And which means that they're ready for that kind of experience, that they maybe desire that kind of experience. And these are things...
on a grand staircase would want something.
Means?
Nothing. There's a very sexy shot. Very
on a staircase. Yeah.
On the staircase. Okay. Just go for it.
I see it.
There was a BuzzFeed article on specific episodes that people should watch with their partners or whatever. And I just scrolled through it, and there were just these GIFs. They were just GIFs from each episode, and I was like,
I think it's GIF.
What? But whatever. But I'm saying that that's one show. Now you're seeing Indian shows which are showing so much more. Showing a lot more intimacy, let's put it that way, intimacy in their content, which is nice.
Ritasha, we've been seeing your Vice explorations in a little series for from the beginning, dude. That was
you're such a legend.
That was amazing.
I just gotta say on record,
we loved that
you're a legend.
We loved that.
How did you forget, Ayushi?
Dude, fun fact, when before we started My Muse, we were trying to do a content platform, and we binge watched all your episodes for research. Yay. And they were great. And
they were so good. Yeah. Honestly.
A plug to the listeners. You should watch Vice India's Sex Rated, hosted by me. Yeah, say?
No, and Ayushi, you're totally right. There's so much more, conversation about this, visibility on, sex, pleasure, all of it in the mainstream. I think it's been there forever in various shapes and forms, across media, but now it's on our screens, it's at your fingertips, lust stories happen. Vibrator sales shot up in India. Lust stories,
Yeah.
And the
so many things
stupid scene in what was that
we don't have to talk about them. No, we not give them any name. No time, no airtime for that shitty film. Anyway, but there's a scene with a vibrator.
But I'm saying that they did it badly, in my opinion. But whatever,
at least it's there.
Content. Yes,
exactly.
And I think that that content has evolved, and that's definitely helpful for you guys in terms of that you have an audience. I would say that's very clear, because I think Bollywood did a lot of things badly, and they were quite detrimental to the conversation around sex.
And continue to do so. Bollywood is not absolved of their dumb
at all. In fact, they are, I think, to be held responsible for a lot of the F-ups in our country's conversation. But I do think that certain content creators now, and who have access to these OTT shows and stuff like that, now you're seeing a lot more literature actually come across. And I was doing a little research before chatting with you guys. There's a lot of Indian erotica that's hitting the stands, and maybe it doesn't hit immediately a crossword or a bookstore like that. But there's and they are more wholesome stories that a lot of people can relate to, because the names, the places, the story is more real, is more familiar.
That's super interesting.
And that's more targeted towards women, right? Erotica at the end of the day is targeted towards women because, again, intimacy is what you're selling to women.
See, we young people are cool to talk about it and get involved. But like, do you guys have an age range of people who shop or reach out?
No, it's actually really interesting. We were quite shocked. Not shocked, actually. We were like put in our place by people, in fact, who were like our survey response. We had on one of our first surveys, the age groups were like, whatever, 18 to 25, whatever. And then it was just 40 plus. And then somebody commented being like, stop putting us all into one bucket. 40 plus people love to have sex too.
And they have the money to spend also.
And they have the money and they're married and living together. So I think our research across the board has shown that like one of the weird, shocking findings from our survey was that like Indians aged over 35 actually have the most active sex life.
Okay.
And more than 60% of them, they're masturbating and having sex multiple times a week, according to what we found. So definitely no age
middle-aged India.
Not scared in my 30s anymore.
Hell yeah, for sure. So you come into your prime,
but also that's also women and men come into their sexual prime at different ages.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's a whole other thing that like the older women get, the more confident they are, the more in charge they are of their own sexuality. So they feel it at a different age.
It's going to be a world of magic.
I think it's just also always really tough to like give credit to people when you just don't understand their situation as much. So I think we always feel that, our parents' generation probably isn't having too much sex, or, we feel that they probably aren't using products like this, but
we don't want to think about it.
I think maybe it's more of that as well. But I don't know. I think one idea, what I would think of it as is like a notion that we went in with that was later destroyed was we thought that females or women would be the primary decision makers in the purchase decision. But actually, our numbers are saying it's more 50-50, and
that's nice.
We don't ask for age when we're when someone needs to purchase a product. But I'm sure if we were to ask for age, there would be a varying age of people. I think what's difficult is trying to create stuff, anything really, for a super wide target audience. So what we tried to do is have in our minds like, hey, these are, the ideal group of people that we would want to create for. But obviously we would be more than happy if, people of all ages, all people really tried using our products.
Yeah, I mean, definitely at the end of the day, the hope is that intimacy grows in your relationship as you age. So it's not like it just burns out and dies. We have that assumption that, because again, we're so hardwired to think of sex as a reproductory act.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that it's a core fulfillment and it's like a tenet of your marriage that you need to do it so you can have children
successfully. Yeah.
And that's like a box to take to be like, oh, my relationship has been successful. But there is more to that, right? Like if that is the only goal, good God.
Definitely.
For sure. And I think that's exactly the change that's happening now, which I'm so happy to see, which is like a lot more women just like being empowered to be like, I can explore my body, my sexuality, my pleasure for all the other reasons apart from just being a reproductive vessel, you know? And it's just like, that's great to see.
Yeah.
Dash has always been that person though on social media and real life. Consistently, I feel she's been a very sex positive person.
Such a fun thing. They never told us about it. And we were like waiting to become adults to be like, oh, grown-up life's gonna be great. And then you realize grown-up life is a piece of shit, but you get to have like great sex on the way. So it is the only balm for the wounds of adulthood, I feel.
100%.
That's so true though. The idea of the intimacy is such a it's therapy, right? It really is therapy for the injuries of adults.
They call it sexual healing for a reason.
Yeah.
Should we all sing it together?
No. It's a hard no from me. That can be the outro music.
Yeah.
But I do have to know, have you guys faced any resistance while starting a company like this one?
Oh, yeah.
I think we've been really lucky so far. I think it's exactly like you said, where people are sort of willing to have these conversations a little bit more. And I think if you're honest and you sort of wear your heart on your sleeve and say that this is what we're talking about, and we try very, very hard to be inclusive and non-offensive. So I think we've been super lucky so far that we haven't faced all that much resistance, but we know at some point it may come. And I think that's really why what we're trying to go for is to have people use what we're doing in whatever way they see fit, right? That's really why we're trying to push this idea that, look, if you want to get a candle and light it up in your bedroom and read a book, and that's intimacy to you, then that should be 100% what you're allowed to do. And there shouldn't be this idea that you're buying it from a company that also sells this or that. I think unfortunately, you can say all these things and want all these things, but the harsh reality is that there may be a time when, someone says that we're not liking how you're saying this, or we're not liking that you're doing this. And I think all we can hope for is that we stay true to what we're trying to build, and we stay true to who we're trying to help here. And people see that and have a positive reaction for that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that for you guys as well, because these are definitely important conversations to have. And it's nice that you're trying to create that space so that it's not, first of all, put in a box. I think that's really important to acknowledge about My Muse, is that you're not trying to just be like, oh, we're only about sex as the act, but more about like intimacy, wellness, conversation, like the whole holistic experience, right?
For sure.
Yes, it is almost a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Don't bring God into this. I'm
No,
telling you,
Ayushi, this is
dangerous.
the problem. You nah. Anyway,
I
where
am
was
the
I?
problem. Anyway, but this is I'm really glad that these are the kind of things that exist now, and it started by cool people. And
thank you so much.
We are very happy to have had you guys on our.
No, guys, we're thrilled. Thank you for having us. And
this was
chatting with us
honestly
on
our
this
pleasure.
Monday
And
evening.
this was the first podcast that we've done, and
y'all popped our cherry.
honestly, it's been just like you said. It's just a chat, and I think you guys you just have such a natural flow, and it's so nice. It's been really nice.
And my voice is therapeutic, right?
It is truly therapeutic.
Natasha, I'll be the first to say that your voice is also therapeutic.
Sahil, you will be my life guru now. I like you.
He would be really happy to.
Get off my show.
Sahil's interests on his bio include quote-unquote mentorship. So, he'd love that.
Oh my God, please, I need a mentor. That's all I need. I have a therapist. I just need a mentor now.
Make all
guys, offline, let's connect with Sahil to teach us how to be adults.
One second. Just know that, again, I take secondhand mentorship from her. So if you're mentoring me, also my association.
The ripple effect. Yeah.
But you want to tell people where they can find
you, reach out to you, check you out, check out your entire deal.
We're on www.mymuse.in. So head to the website. We have a bunch of really exciting products launching this month, including the massager in question. So you can get all the good vibes. And we are on Instagram. We have a blog and a newsletter that you can subscribe to. And we just love to hear from people. So if you have any ideas, thoughts, we love it. So just reach out to us. We're very easy to get in touch with. We're not that busy. So yeah, we love to hear from people. So please do let us know your thoughts and check out the products.
Absolutely. So you can find them again at My Muse.
And www.mymuse.in.
MYMUSE. That's just My Muse.
And you should also reach out to us, as you have been doing. I want to take a moment to say thank you to the listeners who've written these emails. Oh my God, reading them move me to tears.
They have
to be true, I'm not lying.
Honestly, and I've been sharing them on Instagram story and stuff like that. And they have just there are days when we are exhausted. There are days when we don't want to do this. And there are days where we really, really, really feel stuck. So this makes it so much more worth it. And it makes it easier to do this. So thank you for writing in. Once again, our email address for you to reach is aglastation@adulthood@gmail.com.
I'm so eager to receive them.
I check it. I open Gmail, and the first thing I do is like, I don't give a shit about my Gmail, my actual personal anymore. I open the second one. I'm like, first check Agla Station. Who came? And the minute I see a reply, I'm like, oh my God, screenshot, send it.
That's
and then
amazing.
not just me, Ritasha, and I write back to you.
Yes, I am always consulted by Ayushi before she replies. But just thank you for listening to our sexual wellness episode with Anushka and Sahil. I would like to tie it up and leave you with one last thought, which is from my side. Then I'm sure Ayushi will jump in with her last thought also.
No, it's fine. You can
That's
end
what
it.
she does. I think the idea of intimacy and pleasure and wellness in the bedroom, we should look out for it even in casual encounters, and let it not be a thing you only take care of if you're seriously seeing somebody. I think everyone deserves that respect and safe space, so you can really find your sexual personality or your bedroom personality or whatever wellness personality you want. Yes, that was my final thought.
For
To just open it
sure.
up like outside of a committed, safe relationship also, in a safe
Absolutely.
casual situation also, just always let's build a community of intimacy with consent.
I love
Thank
it.
you guys so much
Yeah.
again.
I don't have anything else, shockingly. I agree. I agree with everything that the three of them have said on the show, and it's been great to have them. And you can find us at on Instagram at AyushiA9 and on Twitter
And
at
yeah.
just Ayushi. And
I
Ritasha
am
just on Instagram.
Instagram at RYTASH, but you know already because I'm famous. Ugh. Ouch, I should
You're-
not have done that. I'm becoming unbearable.
You are. You really are. Also, the goal of this season was to get Ayushi a blue tick. And let me just say, we are no closer to that than we were at the start of the season.
But
So-
at least aapki awaaz therapeutic hai, so you know what? That.
Well, thank you guys. You can also, if you like the show, you can find other such spectacular podcasts on the IVM network. So you can follow them at IVM Podcasts on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the website.
Outro music is playing. Ayushi and Ritasha doing a happy dance.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you, Begin the Journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से. Hi, I am Sadaf.
And I'm Arshit. खाने का इतिहास, economics, policy, psychology, सब है मेन्यू पे.
Only on the Nankali podcast every Wednesday. सिर्फ IVM podcast ऐप या वेबसाइट पर या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो.